Well, and now it's on to Unit 1B. And so the first question, we have to decide whether the statement makes sense. The proposition I am hungry and I am not hungry are both true, since sometimes I am hungry and sometimes I am not hungry. No, that doesn't make sense. A proposition is either true or false, and if we break this up and say I am hungry, that's one proposition and it's either true or false. We could break it up and say I am not hungry, we've got another proposition, but the combination does not make sense, no. Number 2, determine whether the statement is a proposition. By the way, if you look at page 22, you'll see what's meant by a proposition. It's a statement that's either true or false. And 3 plus 9 equals 13. That's false, but it is a proposition, so A. Susie, write the negation of the proposition. Negations are covered on page 23. And Susie lives in a greenhouse. Well, the negation of that is Susie does not live in a greenhouse, and that's choice C. For number 4, the statement contains a double or multiple negative. Analyze the statement and explain what it means. Well, the House of Representatives voted to override the veto of the communications bill. Well, you know, if you have a double negative, that's a positive, and we have a double negative here. We have override and veto, which are both negatives. So, in other words, the House is in favor of the communications bill. Next, number 5, I don't know if I should wear my new skirt or my new dress. Ooh. This exclusive and inclusive conditions are covered on page 26, but this is an exclusive form of the word or, because you're going to either wear the dress or the skirt, but not both. For the next one, number 6, rephrase the statement as a conditional proposition with the form if P then Q. And those forms are on page 29. I will lose weight if I diet. So if we rephrase that, we'll have if I diet, then I will lose weight. And that's choice D. For number 7, we have to decide whether the statement makes sense. And here's the statement. If unconscious means not in the United States, then Florida is not unconscious. And if that's what unconscious means, then yes, the statement makes sense. And write the converse, inverse, or contrapositive of the proposition. By the way, these forms relative to a statement, its converse, its inverse, and its contrapositive can be found on page 30, and you must know those. We're going to use those. So, if I pass, then I'll celebrate. Well, for the contrapositive, you swap ends and negate. So if I don't celebrate, then I didn't pass. And that's A. If I don't celebrate, then I didn't pass. A is our guy. Now, for 9, if the sun shines, then they will bask. And they want the inverse. So for the inverse, you negate each, the premise and the conclusion. So if the sun doesn't shine, they will not bask. And if the sun does not shine, they will not bask, and that's C. If the alarm keeps every 30 seconds, or beeps every 30 seconds, then you have to replace the battery. They want the converse of that, so for the converse, you swap ends. So If you have to replace the battery, then the alarm beeps every 30 seconds. If you have to replace the battery, then the alarm beeps every 30 seconds, and that's B. Swap ends for the contrapositive. Now, rephrase a statement as a conditional proposition with the form if P then Q. Please go to page 29. And by the way, these same rules are in your notes, which I sent along with the other with this material. So, attending practice is necessary for staying on the team. And so, to rephrase that, if I stay on the team, then I must attend practice. And if you stay on the team, then you must attend practice, and that's A. And if you're confused on that, please go to the chart on page 29, and that will make it crystal clear. The forms, you'll have a corresponding form relative to this, what was said. Now for 12, showing up at the party is sufficient to get a door prize. So, to write that in if P then Q form, if you show up at the party, then you will get a door prize, and that's A. Again, page 29. State whether or is being used in an exclusive or inclusive sense. Sean will win the race if he eats carbohydrates beforehand or if he has slept well. Well, it's used in an inclusive way, because what if he does both? He'll still win the race. He just has to do one, but if he does both, he'll still win the race. And that's inclusive and exclusive is on page 26. So write the negation. She earns more than me. Well, the negation of that is she does not earn more than me, and that's letter A. Some athletes are musicians. Well, the negation of that is no athlete is a musician. There can be no exceptions, and that's B. Determine whether the statement is a proposition. Do you like this color? Well, that's not a proposition, it's a question. So B, not a proposition. 17, 0.5 equals 0.05. That is a proposition. It's not a true statement, but it is a proposition, because a proposition is a statement that's either true or false. Go fly a kite. That's not a proposition, that's a direction. You can't prove that true or false. 19. Decide whether the statement makes sense. If you have $5, then you will buy a hot dog. And contrapositively, if you don't have $5, then you won't buy a hot dog. No, that's it doesn't make sense, because that's not the contrapositive. The contrapositive would be you swap ends and you negate. The contrapositive would be if you didn't buy a hot dog, then you didn't have $5. And we're done with that.